how to deal with rejection in business. That's what we're going to be talking about today, coming right up. Welcome to the Chad Osuji Show, where I show you business strategies, marketing techniques, and tactics to grow your own business. So if you're watching this video, you've most likely have dealt with rejection in the past. And that's okay, because rejection is just another part of life and we've all had to deal with it before. It's how you deal with that rejection that's what actually matters. Whether that's rejection from a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a prom date, friend, family member, it doesn't matter. We've all had to deal with rejection, and it's bound that somebody is going to say no at some point in your life. And there are many ways in which people handle rejection. So one of the ways they can handle rejection is, they just simply get over it. But that is actually hard for a lot of people to do. Or they dwell on the rejection and somehow have to cope with the rejection. So they either emotional eat, they drink, they smoke, or they do some other unhealthy habit in order to cope with that rejection. And in the business world, you are going to have to find out how to deal with that rejection, because it happens all the time, especially if you're in sales. And even if your client or your customer doesn't actually flat out say no, there's many ways in which they can actually reject you. They make up excuses on why they can't purchase your particular product or service at that particular time. So they say things like, well, I don't get paid till Friday. This is not a good time for me. I actually have to talk to my wife about this before I actually purchase. And some of your customers are going to make any excuse possible not to meet with you, not to buy with you, and they simply, just push you off to the side. Now, if you can't close the deal, you're left in this train of thought because they did reject you. And then you ask yourself, why did I get rejected? Could I have done it any better? Was it my fault? Did my breath stink? Was it because of the stain on my shirt? And you go down this rabbit hole and you overthink the situation. In order to get past this, you have to embrace that rejection, learn from the rejection, and then move on. You have to quickly analyze the situation and then progress forward from that point in time. I usually ask myself 3 questions and then I move on to the next prospect. So if you see any of the other videos on my channel, you know that I have an ATM business. So say, for example, I walk into a business and I go up to the owner and I say, hey, would you be interested in an ATM machine? And what if the owner says, no, I'm not, ATMs are trouble. I don't want an ATM in here. If I did everything in my willpower to try to convince the business owner to put an ATM in his shop, if he simply doesn't want it, I will go out to my car and I will analyze the situation, and then I ask myself these 3 questions. Why did he say, no, we don't want an ATM machine? ATMs are trouble. Why did he say that? Well, all I have to do is think back to what he told me inside. And, it's possible that he could have told me that they had an ATM before and they were just robbed. So that could be one of the reasons why he didn't want it in there. And the next question that I ask is, can I improve this business's situation? If I don't have a solution for this business owner, so if I can't mount my ATM machine to the outside of his business because he doesn't want the ATM inside of his business, if I can't do that, then I simply cannot help this business owner, and then I have to move on to that 3rd question. Now, the 3rd question is, can I go back into the business and convince the business owner to convert that no into a yes? And in this case, since I answered those last 2 questions, no, I can't, because I can't put an ATM inside of his business because they were robbed before, and I also can't put it outside of his business. So once I answer these simple 3 questions, if the last answer was no for the 3rd question, then I simply learn from my mistakes and I move on to the next client. And the hardest part for most people is actually moving on to that next client. And if you're doing sales in person, online, or on the phone, this process is very similar. You have to make a list of people that you're going to contact throughout the whole day, and not just that one person. This gives you a goal, an objective, a target on what you're going to do next after you do get rejected. So say you haven't made that huge list of people that you're going to contact for the day, and you only have one person on that list. Now, if you do get rejected by that person or that business, then you're going to dwell on that situation, and you're not going to be able to move on to the next step because you haven't planned out what you're gonna do next. So stop thinking so hard for once. Make that list before you actually pick up the phone, before you actually go out and talk to people. Because if you go out and you get rejected, then you try to make your list, your mind's going to be in this weird place, and you're not going to be able to make that list, or you're going to dwell on that situation because your mind is all messed up. I want you guys to make this list beforehand, before you actually go out, so that way that your goals are laser focused. That way, if you do get rejected, it won't mess up your mind and then mess up your list and ruin the rest of your day. So most of the people who watch my videos are actually entrepreneurs looking to get into the ATM business. So what I suggest that you guys do is actually go onto Google, go onto Yelp, go onto all of these search engines to determine what businesses you're going to visit that day. Then, simply make a list. You can write them down, type it in a Google Doc or something, print it out. And then the next day, you go out and you visit every single business, and then it doesn't matter if the first one, second one, third one rejects you, because your mind is then focused on that next target. It's going to be focused on the fourth, the fifth, the sixth business that you're actually going to go and visit. So you're not sitting there thinking and dwelling on that rejection. I'll then bring a notepad with all of those businesses on that list. Then I will mark it. After I go to the business, I'll mark it down. And if that business was a dud, if they were a maybe, or if they were a yes, I then write that down so I can keep track of all of the businesses that I visited, and then all of the businesses that, were yeses, were nos, and then the ones that I also have to follow up with in the upcoming days. So hopefully you were able to get some positive information out of today's video. Now, if you are looking to start your ATM business and you haven't yet, I'm actually hosting a free webinar where the first 100 people that click on the link will actually get access to the free webinar. And once those 100 spots are up, I will no longer be giving you access to that webinar. Now, all you have to do is click on that link down in the description below to access that free webinar. And that is actually all for this video, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.